Good morning, everyone. I am Divine Grace B. Peralta. Together with my partner, Emmeline Dumagan, we will be taking you to the other worlds. I will be discussing to you the overview of the planetary system and the composition and structure of planets. So fasten your seatbelts, for we are about to take off. But first, allow me to present to you a short motivational activity that will boost your excitements. The slides will show you pictures. All you need to do is add or minus the word stated in each picture in order to identify the hidden word. 10 seconds will be allotted in each word. Comment down your answer in the comment section below. The Milky Way, home to billions of stars, the question lies on how all of these things form. In recent decades, our understanding of the solar system's evolution has greatly improved, but deep questions remain. To answer those questions, astronomers are preparing to visit some place very small, which is the asteroid Bennu. It is a lump of rock and organic material which is believed to be the early building blocks of the solar system. Bennu is a time capsule and its journey takes us way back 4.5 billion years ago. The raw ingredients of Bennu on our solar system originated in a vast cloud of hydrogen, helium, and dust. The sun in this time doesn't yet exist, but due to a colossal explosion called the supernova, our sun destabilizes, causing it to collapse. The central part of this cloud became the sun, and a smaller fraction of material in the other parts eventually form into other objects like asteroid, meteorite, comet, and planets. These include the 8 planets that we all know: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Mercury is the smallest planet in our solar system, slightly shorter than the Earth's moon. Mercury is the fastest planet in our solar system, traveling through space at nearly 29 miles or 47 kilometers per second. The closer a planet is to the Sun, the fastest it travels. Since our Mercury is the fastest planet and has the shortest distance to travel around the Sun, it is the shortest year of the planets in our solar system. But Mercury spins slowly compared to the Earth, so one day lasts a long time. Mercury takes 59 Earth days to make a full rotation, but a year in Mercury goes fast. Because it is the closest planet to the Sun, it goes around the Sun in just 88 days. Mercury is a rocky planet, also known as terrestrial planet. Mercury has a solid cratered surface much as the Earth's moon. Mercury's thin atmosphere or exosphere is composed mostly of oxygen, sodium, hydrogen, helium, and potassium. Since ang Mercury ang pinakamalapit na planet sa Sun, dako man yung nakukuha niya na solar radiation. So, ibig sabihin, igwa siya sa extreme temperature. Pag nasa surface ka sa Mercury, ang Sun is, sa line of vision mo, magiging 3 times larger kaysa sa Earth. Ang sunlight naman magiging 7 times brighter kaysa sa Earth. But despite its proximity being the closest planet to the Sun, Mercury is not the hottest planet in our solar system. Rather, the title belongs to our neighbor planet, which is the Venus. Venus is the second planet and is one of the 4 terrestrial planets and is often called as the Earth's twin because it is similar in size and density. However, there are 2 radical differences between the 2 worlds, and Venus siguro siya sa thick atmosphere na composed siya sa carbon dioxide. Its yellowish clouds naman na naghahatag sa yellowish na color sa Venus is composed of sulfuric acid na nagatrap sa heat and causes a runaway greenhouse effect. Ina na greenhouse effect, nagiging cause siya na mag-igwas ng 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 300 degrees Celsius na temperature in Venus, making it the hottest planet in our solar system. Venus has a crushing air pressure at its surface more than 90 times than the Earth. In an air pressure, buwan pareho man lang san pag nasa idaram ka sa dagat sa Earth. Ang Venus is kilala man siya sa iya kakaiba na rotations. Venus rotates on its axis backward compared to the other planets in the solar system. This means that Venus rises in the west and sets in the east, opposite to what we experience on the Earth. Venus has a long days and shorter years. Venus rotates very slowly on its axis. One day on Venus lasts 243 Earth days. The planet orbits the Sun faster than the Earth. However, 1 year in Venus takes only about 245 Earth days, making a Venusian day longer than its year. Venus clouds smell like a rotten egg. But ina ni clouds is naghatag siya sa cover kag benefits sa Earth. Ang supposed na mga solar radiation na pakadi sa Earth is ginahatag sa Venus, making it the brightest planet among the solar system. It is often called as the morning star or evening star because its bright, steady glow persists either around sunrise or sunset. Similar to Mercury, Venus can occasionally be seen making lazy trip across the Sun, also known as transit. But while Mercury's transit happens every 13 to 14 years, Venus transits are much more rare. The last time a transit of Venus happened was in 2012, and it won't happen again until 2117. Earth, the only planet to maintain life. At its heart is a solid inner core covered by the liquid outer core. Above this lies the mantle, made of flowing silicate rocks and rocky crust. This rocky mass is the third planet from the Sun, orbiting the stars from an average distance about 93 million miles. It is close enough to the Sun to be warm, not so close that its surface is exposed to extreme heat and solar radiation, just like the case of Mercury, and not so far unlike the cold gas giants like Jupiter. Earth's unique position in the solar system allows it to house liquid water and life. In fact, Earth does not take 24 hours to rotate on its axis, but to be exact, it takes 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4 seconds. Astronomers call this a sidereal day. A year on Earth isn't 365 days. It's actually 365.2564 days. The extra 0.2564 days creates the need for leap years. That's why we lack on an extra days in February every year, divisible by 4. Aside from one moon, the Earth has 2 additional asteroids locked into a co-orbital orbits with Earth. They are called 375 Uranus and 2002 AA29. 375 Uranus is 5 km across and sometimes called Earth's second moon. But actually, dili man siya nag-orbit sa Earth. Kinatawag lang siya na Earth's second moon kay kung katao mo siya baga siya nag-follow sa Earth. Pero iguman talaga siya sa diri niya na orbit around the Sun. AA29 or 2002 AA29 is only 60 meters across and makes a horseshoe orbit around the Earth that brings it close to the planet every 95 years. In about 600 years, it will appear to circle the Earth in a quasi-satellite orbit. To the ancient Romans, the planet Mars symbolizes blood and war, but to many people today, the red planet may hold the key for the bright new future of humanity. Mars is the second planet in the solar system with the diameter of the width of Africa. Mars is dense and has a rocky composition. At the center of the planet is a core made of iron, nickel, and sulfur, which may have created a protective magnetic field during Mars' earlier years. Enveloping the core is a rocky mantle made of silicate minerals and a crust rich in iron. Once in an iron, nag-react siya sa oxygen, naghahatag siya sa rust, giving the planet its signature reddish color. Today, Mars is dry, desolate, and cold, with the temperature dropping as low as negative 225 degrees Fahrenheit. But billions of years ago, the planet was much warmer, more geologically active, and had a watery surface, lake beds, and river valleys. Snakes along the face of Mars, indicating that liquid water was once for a time present. Volcanoes such as Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system, at 3 times the height of Mount Everest, once erupted lava, but by about 50 million years ago, soon after the Earth's dinosaur died out, Mars volcanoes also went extinct. Water in the red planet still exists today, but mostly in the form of polar ice caps. Because of factors such as the presence of water, some scientists believe life may have existed on the red planet and may exist again. As Mars orbits the Sun, it completes one rotation every 24.6 hours, which is similar to one day on Earth. A year on Mars lasts 669.6 sols, which is the same as 687 Earth days. About 4.5 billion years ago, Jupiter was the solar system's first planet. Jupiter is the fifth planet and the largest planet in the solar system, at approximately 11 Earths wide. Jupiter has twice the amount of the mass of the other planets put together, but unlike Earth and the other terrestrial planets, Jupiter has no solid surface. It may not even have a traditionally solid core. Rather, this giant planet have a dense liquid center surrounded by a worldwide ocean of hydrogen, helium, and gases. Jupiter's gaseous composition can be absorbed in its atmosphere about 44 miles thick. The atmosphere is a canvas of stripes and storms circling around the giant planet. Their color range between shaded of whites, yellows, browns, and reds, all caused by a different chemical makeup of each area. The most iconic feature of Jupiter is a crimson-brown storm that's been raging for over 300 years. Floating hundreds of miles above the storms of Jupiter are about 79 moons. The four largest moons were discovered by Galileo Galilei in 1610. It is called Galilean satellites. They include Io, the most volcanically active celestial body in the solar system; Ganymede, the solar system's largest moon, even larger than the planet Mercury. Also belong to the Galilean moons are Callisto and Europa, which along with Ganymede may contain oceans of liquid water underneath their crust. Jupiter's large collection of moons is only made possible by the planet's massive size and gravitational pull, the strongest of all planets in the solar system. Some scientists believe na ang gravitational pull sa Jupiter nagkosya sa attraction kag distraction sa mga space debris na later on amo naging dahilan para ma-form ito na mga debris into planets. All the planets in the solar system. A Jubian year is about 12 Earth years, quite long in comparison to its short days. Saturn is the second largest planet in the solar system, about 10 times as wide as Earth. But despite its size, Saturn is actually the lightest planet. It is predominantly made of gases, hydrogen and helium. Because of its particular gaseous composition, Saturn is only the planet in the solar system that less dense than water. If the planet were placed on an enormous ocean, it would be able to float. Saturn's gaseous makeup also means that it has no true surface. At its center, the planet has a dense core of water, ice, and rocky material, but it has no actual landmass. Instead, it is mostly made of gases, liquids, and yellow ammonia, wherein ina na yellow ammonia crystals and creates and golden clouds kag storms sa Saturn na nagiging dahilan na magkaigo man sa golden color and Saturn. Saturn has more than 50 confirmed moons and 29 moons awaiting confirmation of their discovery. That is a total of 82 moons. Enceladus, one of the Saturn's smallest moon, is covered in ice and only about as wide as the state of Pennsylvania. Titan, the Jupiter's largest moon, is nearly as wide as Canada. Titan is also the only moon in the solar system with clouds and dense atmosphere. Titan and Enceladus have underground ocean that would make them potentially capable of sustaining life. Saturn takes about 10.7 hours to rotate on its axis and 29 Earth years to orbit the Sun. Uranus is the seventh planet from the Sun from a distance of about 20 astronomical units or 20 times the distance between the Earth and the Sun. It takes 17 hours for Uranus to complete one rotation. Uranus orbits the Sun once every 84 Earth years, approximately the length of humans' entire life. Theoretically, a human living on Uranus would experience the four seasons only once, but each for about 20 years. Especially due to the distance from the Sun, Uranus is the coldest temperature in the solar system. This icy temperature dropping as low as negative 370 degrees Fahrenheit are largely influenced by the planet's composition. Uranus has an Earth-sized core made of iron and magnesium silicate. The rest of the 80% of Uranus is made of ocean of ices made of water, ammonia, and methane, the chemical behind the planet's cool blue color. This icy composition prevents Uranus from emitting much heat compared to other planets, making the blue world to the solar system. Uranus has a dramatic orientation. While the other 7 planets spin on their axes like tops, Uranus appears to roll along its equator. Imagine kung 23.6 degrees tilted on Earth, and Uranus is almost 90 degrees tilted, a near right angle, in which polar regions point toward and away from the Sun rather than upward and downward. This tilt thought to be the result of the Uranus collision with the other celestial body. It also affected the orientation of Uranus' 13 rings and 27 moons. Unlike the rings and moons of the other worlds which orbit their home planets horizontally, those of Uranus orbit in a vertical orientation along the planet's tilted equator, much like a Ferris wheel. The tilt of Uranus is so pronounced that one pole or the other is usually pointed towards the Sun. This means that a day at the North Pole of Uranus lasts half a Uranus year. So kung mag-start ka sa North Pole sa Uranus, may experience mo lang ang sunrise after 42 years. Sa 42 years and may experience mo lang is summer season, puro lang daytime. Then after 42 years, puro naman nighttime, which is the winter season in Uranus. Neptune is the 8th planet and the only planet in the solar system that is not visible to the naked eye. Its distance from the Sun is about 30 times as the Earth's distance from the Sun, or 30 astronomical units. It is the most distant planet in the solar system, creating the longest orbit of the 8 worlds. About 165 years, with the seasons lasting over 40 Earth years. Sometimes, Neptune is even farther from the Sun than the dwarf planet Pluto. Pluto's oval shape brings it inside the Neptune orbit for a 20-year period every 248 Earth years. Still, the two planets don't crash with each other because in every 3 lapses of Neptune around the Sun, the Pluto makes 2. Neptune is tilted about 28 degrees, which means that it is similar to the Mars and Earth. That means Neptune experiences the same season just like ours. However, each of the 4 seasons lasts for over 40 years because of its orbit. The cloud of Neptune is composed of hydrogen, helium, and methane, which gives the ocean world Neptune its rich blue color. The clouds create a cool, calm surface from afar, but up close, they are surrounded with the most severe weather in the solar system. The winds on the planet reach speeds at over 1,200 miles per hour, nearly 5 times faster than the strongest winds recorded on the Earth, which is 253 miles per hour. Every planet in the solar system, except for Venus and Uranus, rotates counterclockwise from west to east. This is the same direction in which all the planets orbit the Sun. Uranus was likely hit by a large planetoid early in its history, causing it to rotate on its side, 90 degrees away from its orbital motion. Venus rotates backwards compared to the other planets, also likely due to an early asteroid hit which distributed its original rotation. Moon, also known as the natural satellite, orbit planets and asteroids in our solar system. Earth has one moon, and there are more than 200 moons in our solar system. Most of the major planets, all except Mercury and Venus, have moons. Jupiter has four largest moons called Galilean moons called Io, Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa, which I already discussed a while ago. Saturn is orbited by 60 known satellites, but the largest of them is the Titan. It is enveloped in a thick atmosphere, one filled with orange haze. In 2005, NASA penetrated and explored the surface of the Titan, wherein they discovered some traces of rivers and lakes. This is the first time that any celestial object have been found with a liquid on its surface. The more the probe investigated, the more Earth-like the Titan seemed to be. Triton is one of the known moons in the Neptune. 7 of these moons are regular moons, or in other words, moons that orbit along Neptune elliptical with very circular orbits. Triton is an irregular moon. It is a moon that follows an inclined, eccentric, and often retrograde orbit, making the Triton of unique from the rest. Triton orbits clockwise direction around the Neptune, but Neptune rotates counterclockwise. All of the moons in the solar system are regular moons that rotates in the same direction as their parent planet. A planetary ring system is a flat, disc-shaped collection of billions of particles and chunks known as moonlets. Saturn's rings are by far the most studied in the solar system, but the Voyager spacecraft in the 1980s revealed to us that each of the four gas giants houses a ring system, but each varies widely in its composition and arrangement. Rings of Saturn are made of highly reflected water ice, whereas the rings of Uranus are made from organic materials as dark as charcoal. Jupiter's enormous yet faint ring system is composed mostly of ancient dust, and Neptune's rings are composed of dust and shredded rocks. All of these rings has its own story to tell, but one thing is certain, and that all of these rings needs moon to be created and sustained. If not for the tidal interaction and orbital resonance of the gas giants, most of the material we see in the ring system would be flung out into space. Therefore, it only means that whenever there is ring system, there are also moon to be found. Asteroids are the leftover debris when our solar system formed. 4.5 billion years ago, rocks and dust clumped together into molten protoplanets. Inside, heavy elements, metal like iron, nickel, and iridium sunk into the core, leaving light-year silicate minerals on the surface. Some of these protoplanets grow into planets we know today, but many more collided with each other, breaking into pieces. These pieces continued orbiting the Sun and smashing into each other and breaking into even smaller fragments. This became the asteroids, which is why some of them are rocky, some of them are gravel-sized rocks. Most of the asteroids have stable orbits between Mars and Jupiter in the main asteroid belt, but some have made their way closer to the Earth. These are known as the near-Earth objects. Stephen Hawking considered an asteroid impact to be the greatest threat to humanity. On February 15, 2013, over Russia, an asteroid heavier than the Eiffel Tower slammed into the atmosphere, and then 30 kilometers above the ground, it exploded. Another class of small bodies is composed mostly of ice, made of frozen gases such as water, carbon dioxide, and carbon monoxide. These are called comets. Some scientists call comets as dirty snowballs, depending on whether they contain more ice or rocky debris. As a comet approaches the Sun, it heats up very quickly, causing a solid ice turn directly into gas via a process called sublimation. There are two tails of comet known as dust and gas. Comet tails are shaped by sunlight and solar wind and always point away from the Sun. According to NASA, comet tails get longer as comet approaches the Sun and can end up millions of miles long. There are countless broken rock, which we call cosmic dust, scattered throughout the solar system. You can think of them as space rocks called meteoroids. When meteoroids enter the Earth's atmosphere at high speed, and burn up, the fireballs, which we call shooting stars, are called meteors. However, when the meteoroid survives a trip through the atmosphere and hits the ground, they are called meteorites. Carl Sagan is the best-known astronomer in the world. In the early 1960s, habang iniisip pa lang sa iba na scientist na ang Venus dili siya capable to sustain life, si Sagan na-calculate niya na an atmospheres in Venus could act as a giant greenhouse, wherein it results to the rise of temperature enormously. He also showed that the seasonal changes in Mars was not caused by vegetation, but by wind-blown dust. Member of scientific teams for many of the robotic missions that explored the solar system, and was instrumental in getting NASA to put a message-bearing plaque aboard in the Pioneer spacecraft, as well as the audio-video records on the Voyager's spacecraft. To encourage the public interest and public support of planetary exploration, Sagan helped found the Planetary Society, now the largest space interest organization in the world. He also showed the computer models of consequences of nuclear war for Earth and the continued pollution of our atmosphere. Also an author, including the best-selling books Cosmos. Carl Sagan was also a master in television medium. His 13-part public television series Cosmos was seen by an estimated 500 million people in 60 countries and has become one of the most watched series in the history of public broadcasting. Position and structures of planets. The terrestrial planets includes Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. They are called terrestrial planets because they are composed of solid and rocky surfaces. In other words, they are Earth-like planets. These planets are composed of a core composition of iron and silicate mantle. Terrestrial planets can have canyons, mountains, craters, and volcanoes. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are members of gas giant planets. Atmosphere are composed of hydrogen and helium. The cores are made of rock, metal, ice, and hydrogen compounds. Generally speaking, the temperature of the planet decreases as you get farther from the sun. From roughly 430 degrees Celsius, it can go as negative 201 degrees Celsius. Aside sa distance ng sun sa planet, ang usad pa na factor na nag-influence sa surface temperature sa usad na planet kaya iya atmosphere. Kung wala ang atmospheric insulation sa Earth, ang oceans naton is magiging permanently siya frozen. However, sa case naman sa Mars, the scientists believe na ang atmosphere niya dati is much larger than it is today. Kung na-maintain ito sa Mars, it is possible na ang surface temperature niya kaya mag-sustain sa life. In case naman sa Venus, siguro siya sa thick atmosphere na compose siya sa carbon dioxide, wherein among pinakadako na factors sa pagtaas ng temperature sa iya surface, which is amo ang pinakadako na reason kung nano kay mas mataas pa iya temperature kaysa sa Mercury. Therefore, out of the 8 planets, an Earth lang and in between freezing point kag boiling point. Therefore, it allows the Earth to house water and life. We have this saying that there is no place like home, or your home is where your heart is. In the classic film The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, the heroine, concludes after her many adventures in alien environment that there is no place like home. The same can be said to the other worlds in our solar system. There are many fascinating places, large and small, that we might like to visit, but humans could not survive without an artificial assistance. Mercury has no atmosphere, Venus has a thick carbon dioxide atmosphere, Mars has temperature generally below freezing with air mostly carbon dioxide, and the Jovian planet are neither warm nor solid enough for human habitation. All of this suggests that we need to better take good care of our Earth because it is the only site where life as we know could survive.